Hello, ChiBizHub community. Thank you for joining us today yet for another Spotlight interview live of one of our strong Black businesses here in the city of Chicago. I'm here with George Davis, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about the story of Muse Coffee Studio and why they chose this neighborhood, because that's something that's really important to us, right? We're starting our businesses here in the city of Chicago in our 77 wonderful neighborhoods. So without further ado, you all know how this goes. It's going to be a little bit of a conversation, a little bit of you knowing kind of what ChiBizHub can do for you, but more importantly, to showcase the story of our Black business here today. So if we can go get started, George, please share with us a little bit about, the concept and, why you chose kind of what you have going on here for the coffee studio.
So first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak more about Muse Coffee Studio, and definitely appreciate the opportunity to be speaking about it with you guys. So thank you for that. Muse Coffee Studio really is just about me and my, for lack of a better word, just infatuation with inspiration, understanding what inspires people to do cool things that they do. And so with that, just understanding the literal definition of what Muse is, I wanted this space to be somewhere that allowed me the chance to share some of the things that inspired me, the books, the imagery, the artists, the music, and hopes that, it touches somebody and kind of creates space to have conversation, to learn more about what inspires people, and then finding where the intersection is potentially inspiring other people to create and build something that will then inspire other people. So it's just a big inspiration loop, if you will.
No, I love it. Such a great story. So I mentioned to you all, we're celebrating Black businesses this month, right? I mean, we always celebrate Black businesses, but August is, a month that honors that. And with that respect, we're really interested, George, in learning a little bit more about your experience as a Black business owner, the Black business owner here in the city of Chicago. What has supported you, what has helped you grow and scale your business, and just more about your experience, because your experiences with me, your needs as a business owner are very different. And I know within World Business Chicago and ChiBizHub, we strive to ensure that you are connected to the resources that you need, right, to thrive. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's been a very interesting journey, just in terms of really getting started, understanding the process, and seeing other people in the community, and recognizing what their journey is. Having a chance, honestly, to learn from their experiences, getting insight on the obstacles that they faced, and then that allowing me to sort of stay ahead of some of those things. And so more than anything, for me, it's just really been cool to just be another voice in that conversation of Black businesses. Another resource that other people can lean on as they get into the journey of entrepreneurship. And so, ChiBizHub has provided a lot just in terms of me being able to kind of look at what resources are available, getting a broader view of what the process is to become a business, the type of things that you have to know, the type of people that you should have a relationship with. And then even more granularly in providing names and companies and organizations of those people. It's just invaluable resource in that way. And so I think that, along with being able to tap into other resources, like I said, people like QI and Kiddo, having a chance to get insight from her and what her journey was, all of those things helped me to kind of position myself to be that for somebody else.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you highlight such an important part of the journey, I think, for small business owners in general, right, in the city of Chicago, just using each other as a support system and learning from each other, I think that's the only way to thrive, right? You know, on ChiBizHub, we have connections to different associations and we have mentorship opportunities, right? And then just the very idea of being connected to other business owners that already went through the journey, right? Either if they're barely starting or if they're again scaling, just being connected to each other, and regardless of the industry too, right? But it does help, obviously, if you're connected to other coffee shop owners, right, to make sure that you're successful. But that's, you know, that's part of the journey, and I'm glad that you've been able to find such, you know, a thriving community to be able to help you out too, because it's important. So I want to, you know, talk a little bit more about kind of this. You mentioned one person part of your network, right? But share a little bit more about maybe more people, more groups, or more resources specifically that helped you kind of grow your business.
Yeah. So like I said, it was Kiwa at Kiddo, incredible shop for kids' clothes and books and just beautiful energy. She's been doing that for a while, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to call her a friend. So I was able to not only see her growth and evolution, but also have an opportunity to talk to her and get some of that insight. Then there's people like Diego and leaders. Once I was able to really get into the space with people like Melissa and Everybody's Busy, Antoine and Atmos, Afro Joe's, a lot of people who had already been through things that I was able to either kind of just observe or have real conversation. And they made themselves available. And I think for me personally, I'm an introvert, you know, to some degree when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I never want to bother people. And so a lot of times, you know, you either have questions that you don't know how to ask or who to ask, or you know, in a position where you don't even know what the question is. You just know you need something. And so having those people specifically who, you know, were close enough and made themselves available, it made it possible that no question felt like a dumb question, or, you know, I didn't feel like I was being a pest or anything like that. And so I was able to tap into those people for more insight, more, you know, just more information, more exposure, because that's key.
Yeah.
Just being able to feel free enough to ask a question without, you know, being like, ooh, at this point in this journey, is that something that I should already know? Like, is this, you know what I mean? Like, is this gonna be a question that they like, you're about 5 months late for me asking that kind of thing, you know what I mean? And so that, I would say that those people, and more, sure, like, it's been super cool having those people as resources. Trina at Chicago Culture Gear, she introduced me to a lot of people that became, you know, resources of mine as well. So,
awesome. I think so. You're also. I want to talk a little bit about it, not too much, just because we're still in the thick of it. I feel like, but you mentioned something about, right, like not knowing maybe at a different stage, like the questions that you're supposed to be asking. And I think a lot of business owners, like going through a pandemic, right, like having a business during the pandemic. There's a lot of questions. No one knew kind of where to start. Like that's not something when you open a business of like, how am I gonna make it through a pandemic, right? Yeah. So can you talk a little bit of what that experience was like for you? And you know, even kind of like servicing your community, how to ensure that, you know, your business, your employees are safe, but then also your customers, and then also just your business and probably your family too. There's just so many, you know, categories that you had to think about. So we can share a little bit more about that experience.
So with the pandemic, I mean, as terrible as it was, like timing was just so crazy how things like that work. And Muse have been in the works for so long, just in terms of things that we have been thinking about, us looking at different locations, potential locations, and right at the time when we had, you know, submitted our paperwork and we were ready to actually start building out, that's when everything shut down. And in that moment, we were too far along to stop. But what the shutdown did was allowed us an opportunity to address any pivots that we could potentially make that would, to your point, allow us to service the community better. And it put us in a position where we didn't necessarily have to rush. We were able to kind of take a step back and look at what we had. So that pivot allowed us to include a pickup window. And that pickup window, we didn't know if people would be able to actually come inside. So we were like, well, if we have a window, they don't have to come inside. But that just meant that now we need a way to get from the espresso machine to the window. So we had to include another bar, which wasn't but that addition has served us well because now people can, actually sit down, get comfortable, chat. And yeah, like being able to just learn in real time, like what's going on, what should we be doing. All of those things were in place before we even were in a position to start doing business. And then from there, I mean, like you said, I am the only employee, so that in itself is like, I have to stay healthy because if I get sick, then there's no business. And you want to be cordial, especially being new as a business, but familiar with the community. You want to be cordial, you want to be welcoming, but you also want to still maintain some distance. Because I know that, when I go home, I have to change clothes, I have to make sure I'm washing my hands and doing everything to not, put my family in harm's way. So those are all things that were, I don't want to say hard to navigate, but definitely things that we have to consider. How to find that balance and being both safe, but also like warm and distant, but close. And, and that was a lot of the motivation in terms of like how we fill the space up. Like what types of things can we provide that would be like that nonverbal communication so that people come in and they see sort of what we are, who we are, what we represent. The music that they hear when they walk in, like these are all things that can sort of welcome you without it having to be like a literal hug. You know what I mean? It's more kind of just like you come in an environment and we want you to feel that warmth, I
love what you're describing at the end about that because it's not something, to your point of like, what questions are you supposed to ask or about like when you're starting your business, right? But it's really creating that environment because anybody can go grab a coffee like at Starbucks, at Dunkin', or just, those mass producers, or just, even buy it at the grocery store. But it's that unique experience at that coffee shop around the corner from where you live that is probably going to be just kind of what starts your day off, to be great. Or your entire experience of like, I lived in that neighborhood and I'll never forget that coffee shop that I would go to every now and then. Now that I'm working from home, it's all part of it, that quality of life that I love to share about, when we talk about our communities here in the city of Chicago. So thank you for that, highlighting that, kind of like what our business owners need to think about, and what you thought about, and to have your business thrive. So it's really been helpful. So now, share with us a little bit, kind of what are your plans, for future growth, and what does it look like for the business?
I mean, I one of the things that I appreciate most, and that it's also one of the things that I didn't necessarily think about a lot ahead of time, is just the role that a coffee shop plays in the community. And again, being able to provide a space where people can come and feel comfortable enough to share their experiences and their things that they dream about and hope to do. And then having those conversations in a way that somebody hears it, and now you have two people that can connect and build some things. And so I think for me, what I would most like to do is continue to build that aspect of it, where we can continue to provide space for people to create, whatever that looks like. Establish more partnerships and collaborations with other creators. We did a shirt around February, Black History Month, with Doc Daly, who is a marketing genius. But we did a Inspired by My Ancestors collaboration with him. Just along the journey, we've collaborated with the Grocery Run Club, who was doing a collaboration with Lululemon around World Run Day. And so I would love to continue to grow and be able to do more of those things where we can partner and collaborate with other creators to just have a bigger impact on the community, both this immediate community and the larger community. Just to be able to provide resources, provide inspiration, provide things that, like to continue to help bridge the gap.
Thank you. To kind of pivot a little bit and, close this out, share a little bit about, what's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, kind of being your own boss? What's so great about it?
Honestly, I think my favorite thing about it is what my kids will see. Because I know the things that I didn't have exposure to when I was a kid. And so for my kids to be able to see me get up, come here every day, literally, they come in and you can tell how excited they are to know that, like, this is our coffee shop.
Right.
And to me, that has been like an incredible byproduct of taking this journey. Seeing how much pride they have, even at just 5 and 4, and this is something that Daddy talked about, and now it is a real thing. And we can come here and ask him for hot chocolate,
yeah,
and apple juice and all that kind of stuff. So that's been my favorite part.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I think, you're just showcasing, a very personal side of, why someone would want to go into business for themselves. And it's more, again, I really want folks to see, this is just more than a coffee shop, right? And what it means to help and support small businesses in the community, right? You're supporting more than you think, right? You're putting, yes, dollars back into the community, but it's a specific family, right? And futures. And so I really appreciate you kind of sharing that. And I hope that, our audience and the rest of the small business community, right, that is supported by ChiBizHub and not, you should get plugged in if you're not. But if you are, just kind of, see through the story of Muse Coffee Studio, kind of how they've grown and, what they're doing, and also just, get plugged into the Tri-Taylor area, right?
Absolutely.
And so thank you again for joining us for this spotlight and this interview. And thank you everyone for watching.